So, all right, well, let's get going, Leah. So, if you're just joining, I see a couple of people just coming on to the platform as well. But I'd like to introduce Leah Penrose. Leah's the People Operations Manager at Spring Activator, which is a global incubator, accelerator, and advisory firm that helps global entrepreneurs, investors, and ecosystems builders build thriving communities. It's a small, fast-growing company where she is first people lead, focused on supporting the team to excellence by focusing on what is possible to create the best employee experience. So we've known each other for a little while now, Leah, and really thank you for being on here. And if you can also, if anybody wants to post a question, feel free to put that in the chat and Leah will moderate. And Rachel Mitchell will be back in about half an hour to moderate or thank you as well, Leah. So yeah, we're talking about onboarding for the new decade. So looking forward to hearing it. So I'll turn it to you. And thanks very much for being on, and thanks to all of you for watching.
Awesome. Thank you so much, Mark. Pleasure to be here. And so for those of you that, again, just jumped on, I am looking very casual today, but it is for a purpose. It's Pink Shirt Day. So it is to raise awareness and funds for anti-bullying in youth. So that is why I'm a little bit more relaxed than what you would normally see. I also, because I'm on a Mac, have learned that Hopin doesn't work for sharing slides. So I have this beautiful deck, but I won't be able to share it with you. So follow along. If you have any questions, I'll be there. And please, I encourage questions, comments, feedback. Let's have this as engaging as possible. Yay, Dawn, pink shirt. Yeah, and feel free to connect with me on LinkedIn. Monica, awesome. Okay, perfect. So I love all this pink shirts, but I'm here to talk to you today about onboarding for the new decade, the new era. And so again, my name is Leah Penrose. And before we jump in, I actually want to acknowledge that I am speaking to you today from Vancouver, where I live, work, and play on the traditional, ancestral, and unceded territories of the Musqueam, Squamish, and Tsleil-Waututh people, and acknowledge that wherever you are, that we take time to acknowledge that as well, because it is important in this day and age. So, why am I talking about onboarding in the new era? It seems like we should all know how to do it by now, especially since we are all HR professionals. I used to think that I knew how to do it after 2020. I onboarded people virtually at my previous job. I'm like, oh, it's not that different. Until I was onboarded into a new position and I was like, I am just floating out in the nether regions. And that is not saying anything against my current company. I love them and they did an amazing job. But what I've noticed is we need to be much more intentional. We need to meet employees where they are now. And that has changed. I'm sure you've heard this time and time again, but 2020 changed a lot of things and really changed how employees and employers are interacting with each other, what is expected in the workplace. And that is not, it doesn't not include onboarding. So again, I don't have slides to share with you, but so play along with me. So why do we onboard? What is the main reason why? In my opinion, it's to create the foundation for an amazing employee experience. Think of first impressions, right? If you don't create that first great impression and create an employee experience, it's going to be pretty hard to climb back up that mountain. And so that is why we do it. But that's more of the soft stuff, right? Along with trust and belonging, helping create clarity. But what are those harder reasons why we do it? Like if we're talking to a CEO that says, why are we investing in an onboarding program? Time to productivity and retention. That's why. Time to productivity. If you need someone to get up to speed quickly, you need a really great onboarding program. And that is inclusive of all the factors that I just mentioned. You need to be able to get somebody up and feeling trusted and belonging really quickly. You need to make sure that they have clarity around their roles and KPIs. And so now that you've got them up to speed, how do we keep them? You don't want to keep going through this onboarding process over and over and over again, because it's a lot of money and a lot of time. So bottom line, yes, it is all the human skills and human things that we want to create. Trust, belonging, great first impressions, but bottom line, retention and time to productivity. So this culture shift that I mentioned, I don't need to dwell on this. We've all heard it. But what are some of the things that we saw? Definitely increase attention on diversity, equity, and inclusion. If we weren't already doing that, we've been much more intentional about it. We've been reviewing all of our processes, policies, the way we interact with everybody in the office. So how do we get that going in terms of onboarding? The environment has become, in my opinion, more employee-centric. So employees have a larger voice. You don't just show up and come to work anymore and expect a paycheck. It's not just top down. It is definitely creating more of a bottom up of voice, and that employers need to give more to the employees. They need to be able to feel valued. They need to be able to feel safe. They need to be able to have options that fit their life. And mental health. Really trying to remove the stigma around that, and everything that encompasses that. People are coming into our houses. So you're onboarding somebody in their house. What if they don't have a great house? I don't know. What does that look like for that employee? Do we acknowledge that? Do we even comment or think of what that may feel like to show up in everyone's houses and have concerns about that? Or other mental health factors of anxiety or depression, and making them feel that they're still going to be able to have a place at our company. Trust and transparency. So communication, I would say, is at the forefront again with everything. Employees want to know what's going on, feel that they have a right to know what's going on with all the changes and everything. And how do you get somebody up to speed with that and on board with that right away? Yeah, communication is key. Flexibility. Unlike ever before, it's flexibility with benefits, flexibility with hours, flexibility with location, flexibility. And how does that show up in the workplace? And again, how do you hire the right person to fit all of this and these new expectations around how the environment has changed? And then I would even say corporate social responsibility. So again, what are companies doing for the team, for the community, for the world at large? Doing good matters to people now, and giving back and making a stand. It's all very important, and it's what I've noticed a lot of people asking about in interviews. What have you done for your team through COVID? What have you done for your community through COVID? What have you done for Black Lives Matter? What have you done for anything? People want to know. So flexibility and learning to adapt is really important. Yeah, sorry, I'm just going to check the chat over here. Great data source, what other employees are doing for their culture. Yes. There's a lot going on right now, and it varies around the world, right? So this is going to be a very North American lens that I am bringing here. And people before profits. Yes, thank you for both. So what is onboarding? We know what it is. It's making sure that someone gets into your company, has all the administrative papers signed, is able to set up to work there, gets trained, and knows what and when they're supposed to do. And With the virtual onboarding, or even with a distributed team where not everybody is in the same location anymore, I would say intentionality and proactiveness are paramount. They need to be done. This needs to be thoughtful, and it needs to be done in advance. So again, nothing against spring and where I work. That's why they brought me on, people operations manager, to actually fix some of these things for them and improve upon what they already are doing with their great culture. But how can you have somebody drive it? So I was supposed to start on Monday, Sunday, 9 p.m. Still hadn't heard anything. And I purposely didn't reach out to them because I wanted to experience what their current onboarding was. And it just felt like I wasn't expected, or that I didn't know what was going on, because you can't just show up in the office and you're going to be there from say 8 to 4:30, and it doesn't matter when your breaks are, what meetings you are, because you're just going to follow the schedule that they lay out within that building, right? It removes the guesswork. But how was I going to be logging on? When was I going to be logging on? Who was I going to meet? What did I have? Who was I? Like, who did I belong to? I just felt like I was set adrift. So what can you do to make somebody feel valued, feel expected, and remove all of the uncertainties and the fears of already starting a new job, but starting it without seeing anybody, without being at a physical space? Really great ideas that we do. And again, you have to make sure that it works for your company, your culture, and within your budget. We don't supply computers or tech. We ask our team to use their own, just because it is where our budget is currently, and something that we feel that we can put money towards other things. So they have their computers. But setting up their email in advance, putting all of their meetings already in there, and then sending them that information. This is your email. This is how you access your email and add it to your computer. This is your schedule, and that will also be in your calendar. I do it, so if they're starting on Monday, I send it to them on the Wednesday before they start. And to me, it gives them time to process, time to think, time to review, and time to reach out to me. And if anything isn't going right, we can solve it. I have not done this yet because I haven't had time, but this is what my goal is. So yes, swag, but swag 2.0. It's not just sending a water bottle with your company logo on it, or even what I received at my last company, face masks with your company logo on it. No. Again, let's go back to impact, being intentional around creating a culture and making people feel valued and seen. How do you create that if they're not with you? So what we're going to do is we're actually going to be sending a very intentional swag bag with them. So a book that our company very much values and uses every day. It happens to actually be Radical Candor. So we're going to be including that book. The company that I work for is also a bunch of entrepreneurs, and then we also support other entrepreneurs. So how can we represent that and who we are? One of our teammates is actually a big hobby for them is painting. So we're going to get her to incorporate little paintings for them. So it's something that they can put in their home office. And then if we can get our other team to put in either like a gift card or a sample of their products or anything like that, that is what we're going to incorporate into it, because that is who we are. And we want people to feel connected and learn about who we are as a team versus just a water bottle. Nothing wrong with water bottles. I love them. But what does that tell you about you? And what does that really make you feel valued and seen, and like you're starting to create belonging and learning who your team is? So that is one thing. And then every meeting, They are, again, we can do this because we're still a small team. We're 16 people now. They're going to meet with each person on the team for about half an hour to an hour, depending on their connection with them. So the closer they are in terms of working relationships, the longer that they will meet with them, and then go out to 30 minutes if they don't have like an actual connection with the working relationship. The purpose for these is, one, they need to get to meet everybody. Two, to understand how they interact with everybody within the team, and then how does their role affect it. So we have a complete agenda that I already set out. The team knows what it is. The goal is, as we continue to grow, that it will be shot on video. Now, I know some of you may be asking, but doesn't that remove the connection piece of it? Yes, and so I want to make sure that they have an opportunity to meet with everybody. But sometimes if people are on vacation or in a program that they can't get out of, I don't want them to miss out on the knowledge base. So the knowledge base will be recorded, and then the connection piece, the friendship, the trust, that will then be delayed later on. So I want to make sure that we get people up to speed, because again, time to productivity. And through those connections, you're going to start to be able to build trust and connection. What else do we do? So we use Slack. On Slack, on the first day, we make sure that we welcome them. Like, just everyone storms them to make sure that they feel very welcomed and that we're excited and that we know that they're here. You want to make sure that again, everybody acknowledges and sees you and has an opportunity to say hi. It's really nice as a new person, even if you don't know who it is on the other side of that screen yet, just to know that, yay, they're excited that I'm here. I feel welcome and that I'm going to be able to do it. And then you can start piecing everything together. So we also use a buddy system. I put out a request to see who, if anyone was interested in being a buddy. And this buddy's role is to be, how do I say it? Like the culture chaperone, the culture guru of our company. So on the first day, they'll have a virtual lunch with them or a virtual meeting, depending on what time we can fit it in. And they really go through what it means to be a Springer, what it means to be your company's successful all-star. What are the unspoken values and like the habits and traditions that your team expresses? What does it actually mean, and how can you be successful within these confines? It creates an instant connection. And even if possible, like, we haven't had it happen yet at Spring, but at my last company we did, where I try to start people, new people on the same day. So again, they have a bond and they're going through the process together so that they can ask each other's questions. And it also feels like there's less pressure than if it was coming from their manager who is telling them, you know, this is what you need to perform, and also less pressure than coming from like the people team. Because again, this is real. This is going to be their buddy. This is that. So when I meet with them, again, I make sure that I go through vision, mission, values, all the paperwork, yes, administrative stuff, yes, but vision, mission, values, where to find everything, how to do it, like how do you communicate as a team? What is the dress code? What is it like? The unwritten policies and procedures and relationships. So what does that look like? And no, it's not rumor-based or gossiping. It's just helping them set up to get to know what is what within the world of your company. You want to make sure you get as many touch points as possible. And then at the end of the day, I would say one of the most important meetings is the manager, and the employee. So this first day, it's jam-packed. Not much is going to stick, and that's okay. But that first meeting is really going to be for them to co-create how they are going to work together. This is how I work. How do you work? How do we set this up? What are my expectations? Here are all the training manuals. This is what you need to do. In some instances, and most of the roles that I've hired for over the past 2 years, they haven't actually existed before, right? And that brings its own challenges, but you can still be very clear within the job descriptions, expectations, and visioning, and help them know that part of the expectation of that role is for them to create the manuals. But this is part of piecing it all together and how you've done it. So that's the first day and the week prior. But then, are you done? No, you're not. That's just the tip of the iceberg. And maybe before that used to be enough, but now it's not enough. So it's a week check-in, 30, 60, 90, 6 months, and 1 year. Those are the milestones that I continue to meet with new employees, and that I really encourage the buddy to currently meet with them, as well as the hiring manager on top of their one-on-ones. And these are different conversations. They're not performance. It's like, how are we doing? What could have changed? What could have been better? What do you need? Can I explain and make anything else clear? Can we go over anything more? Benefits, like that is around the 3-month mark, right? For our company. And you want to make sure that you're giving the information when it's relevant so that it actually sticks. You want to build on everything. And another way to incorporate all of this through transparency and inclusion is, and I'm going to say this because you have to have the culture for it first, right? So for our onboarding, it's like, if you feel welcome and intrigued by some of the meetings or some of the chat channels within our Slack or team, it's transparent. You can join, you can learn. Please feel free to come in. And I actually read this somewhere. This is not my idea, but it is really interesting. It really stuck with me. Someone said that through this transparency, the first couple of meetings that they have there, I mean, the new person, they may be able to hit the ground running, may be very confident and jump in and start contributing, but they may also just be listening and learning and taking everything in. But how powerful would it be? And they suggested that at the end of the meeting, that you ask the person, the new employee, did you notice any of our values at work during this meeting? And if so, why and how? And to me, I was like, that's pretty powerful, because if you're living your values and you get them to think about what they are, they get to know what they are, and then how we live them throughout the day, it's going to quickly, like, it's like going back to school, right? Those little pop quizzes, those little building on it, constantly naming it and constantly working into it. And it's like in one-on-ones. What values did you exhibit this week that you were proud of? How did you do that? It's just going to constantly reinforce the culture without being able to be face-to-face. And so that is what I would say a whole in terms of the onboarding. But if you play that out, it's really, again, how can you create more touch points for them and clarity around what that is, right? So it's communication. I've also set up weekly optional coffee chats where we're not going to talk about anything work related. It's an opportunity to have FaceTime. If people can, they can jump in, stay as long or as little as they want, but giving the team opportunities and all new people to be seen, to have that FaceTime and just build that trust and getting to know each other, because you need to intentionally create collusion points. The coffee banter around the water cooler, as everyone says, no longer exists. The chats as you're leaving the meeting room together and walking back to your desks no longer exist. So how do you do that, right? And finding time to provide and build those connections and make sure that they have frequent touch points with multiple people. I can't highlight that enough. And remember, you may think that you have a great onboarding practice for in-person and virtual, but how does it translate? Really lean into it with empathy. So again, when I was going through it, I just felt adrift. And again, nothing wrong with that. Know better, do better, right? But it's empathy for what is this person feeling? If I don't reach out to them in advance, are they going to feel welcomed? If I don't have these touch points and lay out these key areas for them, are they going to know what to do to be successful in the role? I will say, again, through this onboarding process that I've been working with, we don't have all the answers yet. We don't have all the KPIs for all these roles. We don't have all the policies and procedures because we're creating all of them. A lot of them are being blown up and redone as we grow and ebb and flow. But going back to something that Tristan highlighted and said, and what I mentioned at the beginning, transparency and communication is key. Say, this is what I know now. I will keep you updated. And until you know differently, please act in this way, right? Just keep going and think about how you can include learning and development. What options can you give them, if anything, beforehand on the industry? It's just communication, empathy, intentionality, proactiveness. Plain and simple. And just figure out ways, think outside the box on how you can transport the culture and the heart of your company of who you were in the building outside through the screens, because it is possible. You don't need to be in person to build a thriving culture and build trust and connectivity. So that's really all I had to say today. It's nothing crazy, and I'm not an expert in this, but it's just thinking and being intentional around it. So any questions or comments, please feel free to jump in there. Tristan was saying something over here. Is there encouragement to reach outside the team or department to look holistically, especially if change is transformative and can affect different parts of the business? Yes. So again, you don't need to play in your own sandbox. It's really encouraged on our team that you can provide and interact with anybody in different areas. So again, we're not limiting who can join different Slack channels or not. And if you have an idea or opinion about how you can do something based on your experiences, it is very welcomed and encouraged. So yes, you're not limited to your team at all. And actually very much so encouraged to speak to people outside of that little box. Agree with Tristan, roles today are very different than they were. 100%. So any other questions? How are we for time? I think we have about 10 minutes left. No. So I would love to know and open up some ideas. What were your biggest learnings through switching to onboarding, and how did you overcome that? Information, the way we deliver training has changed. How have you adapted? So I haven't been at Spring very long, but what we were doing is still having virtual lunch and learns. And we were using LinkedIn Learning for it, bringing in key speakers, because we're big believers that no one's an expert, right? And it needs to very much be an open sharing. So most of our learning sessions have gone from not just sitting and listening to somebody speak for an hour or joining a course, but it's little bits of information, then a lot of team discussion. And I would say that is the biggest thing. And I would also say that that has built even more trust and creating this like really great collaborative environment, because you get to digest it together and learn other people's perspectives. So with everything we've done, even if we're doing team coaching right now, so we bring it in and we then learn, digest as a team, and talk about it. I would say that has been the biggest adaptation. And making all training open to everyone, like not just saying, oh, only the sales team needs to take this training, only the program managers needs to take facilitation or whichever. It's like, who wants to do it? Because we believe in growth and we believe in promoting from within. So that's another key aspect for onboarding. They need to know what potential looks like at your company. Where might they go? And so if you're limiting training to only certain groups, you're also limiting your employees' potential to grow within the team. So that would be another way that we change that. There's a term called leapfrogging too, which leads to innovative solutions, branching off of each other's idea. Yeah, that's amazing. Yeah. Leapfrogging, I've just always called it ping-ponging. It's the way I work best. Like I get a little idea, but then I need to like bounce it back and forth with each other and to build on it to make it something actually usable. Anybody else have any things? Oh, agreed. Intentionality is key. Intentional with all the communications through the entire recruitment and onboarding process. Yeah. So right now I'm hiring for 2 new roles at Spring, and one of them is an urgent need and the other one is not as urgent. So I have made sure that I have told every single applicant for the one role that, you know, this is going to be this long of a process. These are the steps that we're going to do. Please know that if anything should change on your end, to reach out to me and I will expedite it as much as possible and try to accommodate. So yes, onboarding and employee experience really does start at the interviewing stage. How you treat those candidates, whether they are accepted or not into the role, leads on, right? Like it's all building. It's not just you only start as an employee once you walk through the doors of the building or sit at that desk that first day. You're an employee from the moment you start interviewing, and you want to create a really great experience for them because you want them to say yes, B, you want them to stay with you and grow with you. So yes, how does that process look in terms of the questions you ask, the clarity around the process and everything? So I completely agree, Monica. Thank you. So are your teams all virtual now, or are they hybrid?
Hi, Leah. Sorry, I just wanted to come on and say thank you so much.
Oh, perfect. Thank you so much. We're just
I'm loving the conversation. So, and your presentation was amazing. I mean, so many takeaway points. So really appreciate that. And I love the chatter. You can keep going. I didn't mean to interrupt. I just wanted to hop on and say thanks.
Thank you so much. Does somebody have a birthday?
Oh, yeah, I mentioned it. I didn't realize that you could see it. And if I took it down, my daughter would be very upset. So she's turning 8 on Saturday. So we're trying to make it like a COVID fun birthday week. So yes.
Amazing.
She wanted soccer theme. So we've got the soccer theme going on.
Oh, perfect.
I know. I didn't want to tamper with it. Oh, yay for birthdays. Yeah. I know. COVID birthdays are tough.
Right? It's everything in COVID is tough, right? So I know everyone in Ontario, I believe you're still in complete lockdown. Is that true, or are you slightly easing out of it?
Yeah, it depends what area you're in. So I'm in Halton, okay. So we're able to now go to stores. But if you're downtown, you're still kind of locked down. Yeah.
Yeah, so in Vancouver, it's been a little bit more relaxed, but same thing, like how do you have a COVID birthday? Just like anything at work. How do you need to think outside the box. So for my son's 6th birthday, we had the Canucks, like the Vancouver Canucks, their mascot, do a drive-by. You can
Oh,
pay
that's
like
awesome.
a little bit of money as a donation, and then they come and do like a drive-by happy birthday singing.
Oh, you're
And
mom of
so
the year.
but it's like
That's
you need to do
good.
something, right? And
That's
so
smart.
there's
I
so
like that.
many things. Like I've seen just the amount of creativity for onboarding and team building and everything out there is just so fantastic. So network and take it, and don't worry about just taking other people's ideas.
Sure. Sarah, I know now I feel like I need to like one up this situation. Like, how do you get a mascot? Even Sarah said that's way better than I just got balloons here.
It was fun, but he's like just obsessed, and we didn't have any of his friends, so it was just him. And
You know, it's hard. It's hard. Sorry, I didn't mean to jump on and interrupt. We have our panel starting soon, so I really you've been on one of our panels too.
Me?
Yeah, have you been on one of our panels? Yeah.
I've been on 2
Let's do
panels. I've
them.
done
Yeah.
2 recruiting ones. So Monday was the last one. And yeah, like how has COVID changed recruiting? Like,
It's mind-blowing. It really is. So yeah, anyway, thank you so much. I'll jump off. I know I didn't mean to interrupt. I just wanted to say thank you for being here and thank you for your time. I know a lot goes into it. So and everyone agrees. Everyone's saying great presentation. So thanks a lot. I'll leave you. You can stay on though. I'll just say thanks and jump off so I'm not interrupting. Thank you.
thank you. Yeah, and so I'll just maybe say like one last thing. Like we always make sure that we send out like a post about who our new employees are on LinkedIn as well. You know, don't expect that they're not going to last. Make sure that they know that they feel welcome, that they're part of the team and company right away. And so we act as if they're going to stay and be a thriving part of our team. And again, it builds trust both ways because they need to learn to trust us too, right? And so that transparency around that. But thank you everyone so much. I really appreciate the feedback. And again, if you have any questions or comments about great tips that you've incorporated into your onboarding, please share. And Tristan, you got a curfew, my goodness. Same concepts for onboarding, just in a virtual setting. Yeah, thank you. Perfect. And how has the rest of the sessions been going? I've been hopping in and out, so I haven't been able to see all of them. Great, good. And also, please feel free to connect with me on LinkedIn. I usually tend to be quite active on there. I've been a little bit slower as of late because it's been really busy, but I always love making connections and learning from each other as much as possible, especially across the country. We all have such great and different experiences to share. I won't be offended if everyone needs to go and do the networking. But I would love to continue the conversation if you are here. So if anyone has anything to add, let me know. And let me think if I can come up with any more wows or ideas. And I do apologize. I thought it was going to be 20 minutes the time that we had. So that was why my presentation was a little bit shorter, but I'll take the extra time for 30. Thank you, Doris. Thank you, Daphne. Thank you, Helen. Yeah. Really enjoyed the presentation. Thank you so much. Thank you, Chloe. Thank you, everyone. And thank you for your engagement and your questions and points too. I love when we all just start sharing and talking with each other. It's where the real learning happens, right? Nothing really groundbreaking, just how can you use it for the team and culture that you have? Because not everything is going to work for every company. So you have to really be able to take it and manipulate it the way that will work for your team. And again, my pink shirt is for Anti-Bullying Day, Pink Shirt Day here to raise funds and awareness for anti-bullying in youth. So thank you for allowing me to be more casual. And I think that is time. So thank you, everyone. Again, I have thoroughly enjoyed speaking and sharing my experiences with you. And I hope that you learned even one new thing to incorporate and make your process that much easier and fulsome for the employees. Thank you.